Hello, everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Streaming Wasteland here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where each week I pick a streaming service, and in this case, it's the Criterion Channel. And then I pick three films previously released off of the channel, that streaming service, and hopefully you have a nice full weekend worth of movies to watch as this comes out every Friday. And like I mentioned, we're focusing on the Criterion Channel, which I think is one of the best streaming services that you can find with all of the Criterion collection that it has, and then all the other different series and themes that they bring on. And we have an interesting mix here from the 50s, the 60s, the 80s. But let's get started with 1967's The Graduate. And this film from Mike Nichols, which is absolutely amazing that this is such a early feature of a director of the stage turned filmmaker. And this film is so significant because what it does in terms of capturing the zeitgeist of a society at the time. The Graduate very much is a representation of that shift in culture from that 50s, early 60s Americana to the late 60s into the 70s, much more rough around the edges, darker time in American society where cynicism started to creep in and really started taking over this idyllic perception. And this film is a great coming of age story at a very specific coming of age point after college. You're done college. What are you going to do with your life? All your parents' friends are like, "What are you going to do, Benjamin?" And I think Nichols really captures that energy here with this film. Dustin Hoffman is so perfect as Benjamin Braddock, this neurotic, nervous, anxious, loathsome lug who's just kind of in a state of, "What are you doing?" and really isn't doing much with his life until his whole life gets flipped side down with two particular women, played by Anne Bancroft, Mrs. Robinson, and Catherine Ross, her daughter Elaine. Because you have this connection, they try to set up Elaine with Benjamin, but one specific evening, Benjamin connects with Mrs. Robinson and she starts using him for sex. And Anne Bancroft is so sexy and intense and alluring in this film. And this whole entire situation is played for some great laughs. A particular hotel sequence is fantastic, but it also really sheds a light on this woman who feels so lost and abandoned in her marriage, and then Benjamin, who's so lost and abandoned in the world. And you have all this Simon and Garfunkel soundtrack that just adds so much, so many layers and emotions to this film and really captures the time period. And this all leads up to such an iconic climax of this film, and one of the most interesting and impactful final moments of a film, and just that last shot that just keeps lingering. This film is impeccably directed, has an incredible cast, and has so many layers to it thematically. And this is such an iconic and influential film for sure, and has every right to be because how impressive this film is and how Nichols all pulls it together. Next up, we're going to head over to 1986, and this is an early film from director Michael Mann, who's most known for Heat, Last of the Mohicans, Collateral. But before we even got Silence of the Lambs and Thomas Harris's books adapted with Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, we had Manhunter. And this film is full of style. It is slick. It looks amazing. It looks so 80s. And what Man's able to do, bringing so much personality and life to this film, works so well. Then you have the music and how they leverage Inagata Vita in the climax of this film is so impactful. Harris's novel of Red Dragon brought to life in this way with William Peterson, who would later become Grissom on CSI. He is a fantastic and protagonist here who is complicated, has layers. He's mysterious in his own right as he's trying to figure out the Tooth Fairy, this serial killer. And you have Tom Noonan, who plays Francis Dollarhide in this film, who gives a great performance. I know this film, I feel like, is a better film than Red Dragon, the other adaptation of this novel. And I do think Noonan does a great job, probably overshadowed by Ray Fiennes' amazing performance from Red Dragon, but Noonan does a great job. And you have great supporting actors from Stephen Lang, Dennis Farina, Joan Allen, Tim Greist, all filling out the rest of this film. And you have Brian Cox, who's Hannibal Lecter in this film, much more seldomly used and focused on, but he just has a presence whenever he comes on screen. It's less showy than Anthony Hopkins, but it still captures a very specific, menacing layer to it. And this film is mysterious as you have Will Graham, our protagonist, chasing after the Tooth Fairy, but then we get all these layers peeled back on Francis Dollarhide and seeing all the complicated experience that he has. And it's a compelling film, all leading up to this incredibly intense, impactful finale. And this is such a stylish, slick, and intense film. It's something special, and it really shows what Michael Mann has up his sleeve before he even gets into the peak of his career. But these early films like Thief and this really show that he has something impressive there for sure. And we're going to wrap things up by heading back to 1953, and we're going to be talking about The Wages of Fear. And this is an impactful psychological drama survival adventure thriller that is based off of the novel by Georges Arnaud. And this had been also turned into Sorcerer by William Friedkin in the 70s, and most recently poorly adapted for Netflix. But this film is from director Henri Georges Clouzot, and this film is intense, impeccably directed, and the black and white cinematography is crisp and gorgeous. The whole entire film is just full of emotion, intensity. You have multiple sequences, especially the bridge sequence, where they're traveling with these trucks full of nitroglycerin through a hot, dangerous jungle. And just the setup of this film is so compelling and thrilling and just puts you on the edge of your seat. At 2 hours and 36 minutes, this is an epic and intense film that draws you in. It has great character work from you have this group of characters that come together to do this job. And Sorcerer, I think, is an amazing film. Watching this film, I felt so much more connected to the characters, and it is shocking, it is intense, all the way up to its final moments where it gives you this sense of hope and what could possibly happen and just rips that all away from you. There's so much emotion. This is an impeccably tense, suspenseful film with some of the sharpest direction that you're going to see around. This is a compelling, engrossing cinematic experience, impeccably adapted to the screen, so well shot. There's so many impressive moments of camera work and filmmaking that ties this all together. And then such a strong core of actors that bring as much as they possibly can to these characters and really sell this experience in such an impactful, impressive way. This is a film that is absolutely fantastic. And I know Sorcerer's probably flashier, but this film is just as compelling, engrossing, and thrilling. It's a great double feature. And I've done it before on one of my other podcasts, the Wasteland Retrospective. But this one is on Criterion Channel. Go check it out. It is certainly worth your time. That's a wrap on another episode of the Streaming Wasteland. So let's give you a little bit of summation here. So check out the Criterion Channel for 1967's The Graduate, 1986's Manhunter, and 1953's The Wages of Fear. But thank you for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite late 60s, early 70s kind of counterculture film that really captured the essence of America in that time. What's your favorite Michael Mann film, or what's your favorite Lecter adaptation? And what's your favorite thriller that just takes you on this incredible journey through danger and has thrills around every single corner? Make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew podcasting network is ever expanding. New shows starting now and around, and so many great shows with all different types of topics. And if you want to get involved, reach out on our website if you want to be a guest on one of our shows, or if you want to start your own podcast. And if you like our logo, check out HiFlyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Streaming Wasteland here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.